Everything you want in life starts with a sentence, one sentence, spoken quietly to yourself in the dark when no one's watching. You've already had that conversation more times than you realize. I'm not ready. I don't think I can. Maybe it's too late for me. And every time you said it, a part of you listened, a part of you believed. And belief, whether born from confidence or fear, becomes your compass. Most people think they're reacting to life, but the truth is, most of them are just reacting to the script they've been running in their heads for years. Words like, "I'm stuck," "nothing ever works out for me," or "that's just the way I am," aren't observations, they're instructions. You're not just describing your life, you're directing it. You're setting the stage and calling the shots without even knowing it. Your subconscious doesn't take words lightly, it takes them literally. The words you use carry a vibration. They influence your mood, your posture, your energy, and the way people respond to you. Say, "I'm exhausted," and your body slouches. Say, "I'm built for this," and suddenly your spine straightens. The world mirrors what you declare. Say something enough times, and even the universe will start believing you. But there's a deeper layer. Words aren't just communication, they're creation. Language is how we build our inner reality. A person who constantly says, "I'm just not lucky," isn't just explaining their circumstances, they're shaping them. They're drawing a map, and unfortunately, they're following it. But change the words, and you change the map. Say instead, "I create opportunities," and suddenly you start looking for doors instead of staring at walls. It's not about lying to yourself, it's about aligning with yourself. You're not faking confidence, you're revealing it. You're not pretending to be worthy, you're remembering that you already are. The problem isn't that we lack power, it's that we've been speaking as if we don't have any, and power unused becomes power forgotten. People love to talk about habits, the things you do every day, but few talk about the habitual language we speak to ourselves, that quiet inner dialogue that becomes our identity. If every day you whisper, "I'll never be enough," then even success will feel like a mistake. If every morning starts with, "I have no idea what I'm doing," you'll question your own progress before it has a chance to bloom. So let me ask you, what story are your words telling about you? Because you're the author. And every sentence you speak becomes part of the script. You can choose to write tragedy, or you can write transformation. You can keep recycling old doubt, or you can declare a new direction. It's your voice, and it's your life. No one gets to control that but you. Don't wait for the world to affirm you. Speak into yourself what you need to hear. Say it before it's real. Say it until it becomes real. You don't need permission to believe in your potential. You just need consistency. Speak it. Live it. Watch it grow. This isn't magic. It's mindset. You're not casting spells. You're planting seeds. Every powerful phrase you repeat is a seed of certainty, and like all seeds, it needs time and care. Speak strength, speak clarity, speak direction. Watch how your reality begins to catch up with your vocabulary. You want to know what the most successful, fulfilled, grounded people have in common? It's not just talent. It's not luck. It's that they've mastered the language of their own mind. They speak like leaders, even when no one's watching. They speak like winners, even when they're surrounded by setbacks. They've learned that their words are not just reflections, they're blueprints. So let today be the day you stop speaking against yourself. Let today be the day you take control of the conversation happening inside your head. Your words have power, not just over how others see you, but over how you see yourself. Choose to speak like someone who is building a life of intention, not someone reacting to fear. Choose the language of strength, of hope, of vision. Because your words are not random, they are the architects of your reality. Think for a moment about someone you deeply admire, someone whose strength, discipline, or wisdom commands your respect. How would you speak to them? Would you belittle their efforts? Would you roll your eyes at their dreams or call them foolish for trying? No, you wouldn't. You'd offer encouragement, you'd show patience, you'd recognize their value even in their most vulnerable moments. So the real question is, why don't you speak to yourself the same way? Most people have learned to treat themselves like their own worst critic. They pick apart their progress, downplay their strengths, and amplify every flaw. They speak to themselves in ways they'd never allow someone else to. It's become a habit so deeply ingrained they don't even notice it anymore. I always mess things up. I'll never get it right. Why do I even try? Words like these don't motivate, they paralyze, they don't build, they break. The problem isn't the occasional mistake, it's the ongoing narrative that mistakes define you, but they don't. They're chapters in your story, not the conclusion. The issue is, when you speak to yourself like a failure, you begin to move through life like one. Your posture changes, your decisions shrink. You stop dreaming bold dreams because your voice has convinced you they're not meant for someone like you. But what if you chose to change the voice? What if the words running through your mind sounded like someone who believed in you, someone who knew that you were more than your fear, more than your past, more than your doubts? What if the way you spoke to yourself reflected not who you've been, but who you're becoming? Speaking to yourself with respect isn't about being soft. It's about being strong enough to be on your own side. It's not about ignoring your flaws. It's about refusing to let them define you. It's not self-indulgence, it's self-leadership. You lead your life first by how you lead your thoughts. And your thoughts begin with your words. Start noticing the tone you use when you speak to yourself, not just what you say, but how you say it. Is it gentle or is it harsh? Is it supportive or cynical? Is it empowering or dismissive? Because the voice in your head is the one you hear most, and that voice is teaching you every single day who you are, whether it's telling the truth or not. Don't wait for outside validation to feel worthy. Don't wait for applause to treat yourself like you matter. You set the standard. You create the energy you walk with, and that starts the moment you decide to speak to yourself with intention. Start saying things like, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm figuring it out. Because even if you're not there yet, those words leave space for progress. They don't close doors, they open them. And when you begin speaking like someone you respect, you start behaving like someone who deserves respect. Your decisions change, your habits align, your standards rise. And here's what's even more powerful. When you speak to yourself with that kind of respect, you raise the bar for how others speak to you too. Because you've shown them how to treat you by how you treat yourself. That internal dialogue becomes the foundation for your boundaries, your energy, and your expectation. You stop settling. You stop shrinking. You walk differently because you think differently. Too many people are stuck in loops. They don't realize they're creating with their words. They think they're unlucky or broken or just not cut out for greatness. But really, they've just been listening to a voice that doesn't belong to them anymore. Maybe it was picked up in childhood. Maybe it came from years of comparison. But it's time to upgrade the script. Not with fake positivity, but with real authority. Speak truth into yourself. Not the truth of fear, but the truth of potential. You are worthy of your own respect, even when you fall short. Especially when you fall short, because that's when it matters most. So take a breath, listen to what you've been telling yourself, and if it sounds like something you'd never say to someone you admire, it's time to change it. Speak to yourself like someone you're proud of becoming. Like someone who's fought battles quietly and kept going anyway. Like someone who's still here, still rising, still writing their story. Because the moment you do, everything around you begins to rise with you. Absolutely. The words you use, especially the ones you use when no one is listening, shape your identity more than you think. They are not just sounds or syllables passing through your lips. They are declaration. They define the frame through which you see yourself, and they shape what you believe is possible for your life. And if you're using language that weakens you, even subtly, you are training your mind to play small, to settle, to doubt your own strength. It often starts innocently. You say things like, "I'm not good with people," or "I've never been confident," or "That's just the way I am." These statements sound harmless, maybe even honest, but they're not. They're programming, they're instructions, and your brain is listening. Every time you speak something like that, you reinforce a version of yourself you're not meant to be stuck in. You box yourself into limitations that may not even be real anymore, some of which may never have been real at all. The truth is, most of these phrases aren't grounded in truth, they're grounded in habit. At some point, you adopted them because they helped explain away fear. They protected you from discomfort. They gave you a reason not to push further. But if you want to become powerful, if you want to rise into the next version of yourself, that kind of language has to go, because it isn't just inaccurate, it's dangerous. It's stealing your future in exchange for false safety. The words you eliminate are just as important as the ones you add. Remove the words that shrink your possibilities. Stop saying "I can't" unless it's followed by "yet." Erase "I'm bad at" and replace it with "I'm working on." Cut out "I always mess this up" and try "I'm still figuring this out." You see, this isn't about pretending. It's not about delusion. It's about refusing to participate in your own defeat. When you catch yourself using weakening language, interrupt it. Get in the habit of challenging those auto-responses. If you hear yourself saying, "I'm just not a leader," stop. Ask yourself, who told you that? And more importantly, why are you still believing it? Because you wouldn't let someone else speak to you that way. So don't let it come from your own mouth either. This is not just theory, it's action. When you stop using phrases that diminish you, you start removing the ceiling on your identity. You allow yourself to change. You give yourself permission to evolve. That's powerful. That's what real growth feels like. It doesn't always come from big, dramatic transformations. Sometimes it starts in the quiet moments. When you catch yourself about to speak weakness over your life, and instead you choose strength. Now, listen closely. Language isn't just about what you say to yourself. It's also about how you carry yourself around others. If you constantly preface your ideas with, "This might sound dumb, but," or "apologize for taking up space in a conversation," you're subconsciously telling the world you don't believe in your own voice. That has to stop. Not because you need to be loud or arrogant, but because you need to speak like someone who knows they belong, someone who owns their space with calm certainty, not shrinking self-doubt. You want to be the kind of person who speaks with clarity, with energy, with conviction, not with false humility, not with watered-down words. The world doesn't need more people mumbling their value. It needs more people who are rooted in it. And when you eliminate the language that weakens you, you begin to embody that power naturally. You don't even need to try. It shows in how you enter a room, how you respond under pressure, how you handle both praise and criticism without losing your center. Every sentence you speak is a decision. It's either aligning you with strength or it's pulling you back into weakness. That doesn't mean you need to be perfect. It means you need to be aware enough to catch yourself when old patterns show up, aware enough to pause, breathe, and redirect. Because when you do this consistently, something incredible happens. Your words begin to change your beliefs, and your beliefs begin to change your life. Speak like you know you're capable. Speak like you've already overcome. Speak like someone who refuses to make an identity out of fear, out of past mistakes, out of limitation. Because you're not here to repeat your history, you're here to write a new one. So every time you open your mouth, remember this: your words are either your power or your prison. Choose them with intention. When you wake up each day, the first words you speak, whether aloud or in your mind, are an offering to your mind, to your mood, to your future. And what most people don't realize is that the attitude you express in those first few words sets the tone for everything else that follows. That's why the language of gratitude is so powerful, not because it's trendy or poetic, but because it tunes your attention toward abundance instead of lack. It primes your mind to look for what's working, rather than fixating on what's broken. The words of gratitude don't need to be grand, they just need to be real. Something as simple as "I'm thankful I have another day," or "I'm grateful I get to try again," can completely shift your mental state. It's not about ignoring your problems, it's about refusing to let them dominate your thinking. And the moment you start using your words to acknowledge what is good, even if it's small, you begin to multiply that goodness in ways you can't always predict. That's the hidden code most people overlook. Your words are magnets. When you speak in frustration, you pull in more reasons to feel frustrated. When you speak in fear, you find more reasons to retreat. But when you speak in gratitude, even if everything around you feels chaotic, you begin to anchor yourself in a different energy. One that can weather storms without collapsing under them. One that brings clarity and peace when most would be swallowed by noise. You don't attract better just by wishing for it. You attract better by preparing yourself to receive it. And gratitude is preparation. Gratitude says, "I may not have everything I want yet, but I see value in what I already have. I recognize the lessons in what's hard, and I respect the process I'm in." That mindset is powerful because it removes desperation. It removes entitlement. It puts you in the seat of someone who is already rich, not just in possessions, but in perspective. Most people chase more from a place of emptiness, but if you build your life around always needing more just to feel enough, you'll never stop running. Gratitude halts that cycle. It allows you to breathe. It allows you to sit still and realize, even if nothing changes in this moment, I still have reasons to speak with fullness. And the irony is, when you stop chasing and start appreciating, you often receive what you were chasing all along. It's not just about speaking gratitude privately either. It's about weaving it into how you speak to others. When you start your conversations with appreciation instead of complaints, you change the whole tone. You build trust, connection, and peace. You become someone people feel safe around, because you're not pouring bitterness into the space, you're lifting it. And that doesn't just impact them, it impacts you. Every grateful word you speak reinforces a belief that your life is not lacking, it's unfolding. That doesn't mean you deny pain, it means you choose to speak strength alongside it. Instead of "Why is this happening to me?" you ask, "What can this teach me?" Instead of "I'm so tired of all this," you say, "I'm learning how to endure." Those little shifts matter. They teach your nervous system to stay grounded. They teach your heart to stay open. They teach your spirit to stay in motion, even when the path ahead isn't clear yet. And I want you to really hear this. Gratitude doesn't mean settling. It means staying rooted. You can still want more. You can still pursue greatness. But you do it from a place of peace, not panic. From a place of confidence, not scarcity. And when your words reflect that, when your language is rooted in calm strength instead of noisy craving, you move differently. You draw in opportunities that match that grounded energy. You attract people who want to build, not just consume. So start with your words. Speak them slowly. Speak them intentionally. Start and end each day by acknowledging what's still good, even in the midst of what's uncertain. Say it out loud, write it down, whisper it in the silence. It doesn't matter how. What matters is that you make gratitude your default language, not just when things go right, but especially when they don't. Because the person who can speak from gratitude in chaos is the person who can lead themselves through anything, and that's the kind of power no one can take from you. There comes a point when you realize that the person you want to become isn't somewhere far in the distance. It's someone you are steadily shaping in every moment, especially in how you speak. And not just to others, but to yourself. Because every word you use either strengthens that future version of you or pulls you back into the past you're trying to grow from. So the question becomes simple. Are your words building the foundation for the life you say you want, or are they quietly sabotaging it? Most people don't notice how their casual self-talk limits them. They say things like, "I'm always messing up," "I'm not good with people," "I never catch a break," and they say it with a tone of humor or resignation, like it's no big deal. But it is a big deal, because every time you say it, your mind accepts it. Your identity begins to wrap around it, and then your actions fall in line with what you've repeated. But when you begin to speak with intention, when your words reflect the person you are becoming instead of the person you used to be, something starts to shift. Instead of "I always mess things up," you say, "I'm learning to do better." Instead of "I'm not good with people," you say, "I'm becoming more confident in how I connect." Those subtle shifts create space. Space for growth. Space for change. Space for a version of you that isn't boxed in by old patterns. It's not about pretending, it's not about lying to yourself, it's about aligning your speech with your direction. You don't have to be perfect to speak powerfully. You just have to be honest about your progress. You have to be willing to choose words that lift your standards, not reinforce your limitations. And once you begin speaking that way to yourself, it becomes much easier to speak that way to the world, because your words are no longer random reactions. They're tools you use with purpose, tools that carve out the person you want to become and the life you want to lead. But that brings us to something even deeper, something a lot of people overlook. Words aren't just about influence, they're about service. If the only purpose of your speech is to impress, to convince, or to win, then it will always be hollow. But if your words are rooted in a desire to serve, to bring clarity, comfort, or courage to someone else, then your words become something sacred. You want real power? Speak in a way that strengthens others. Speak in a way that leaves people better than you found them. Not by lecturing, not by performing, but by being present. By listening fully, then responding with intention. That's how your voice becomes something that others respect, not because it's loud, but because it's steady, because it doesn't come from ego, it comes from awareness. So many chase influence and miss the point entirely. The goal isn't to be heard by everyone, the goal is to be so rooted in truth that when you do speak, it cuts through noise. That your words carry weight because you didn't waste them, because you didn't speak to show off, you spoke to show up. For yourself, for others, for what matters. When your words are aligned with your growth and aimed at service, you walk into every room differently. You don't need validation, you bring value. You don't chase attention, you carry intention. And that's when people begin to trust what you say, not because it's rehearsed, but because it's real. This is the hidden code of words. Speak as though your voice carries the energy of who you are becoming. Speak as though your tone is planting seeds in your future. Speak as though someone who's struggling might be changed, not by your perfection, but by your sincerity. So ask yourself this before you speak. Is this aligned with the version of me I'm building? Will this make someone else feel seen, supported, or strengthened? If the answer is yes, then speak boldly. If the answer is no, then stay silent until your heart can catch up with your words. Because real strength isn't just about what you say, it's about what your words do after they leave your lips.